Hello everyone, this is the hints for homework 4 in Math 1111. So let me share my screen and we will begin. 3, 2, 1, yay. Alright, so turn this. Alright, so this is homework 4 and we will begin. Alright, so we want to find all excluded values for the expression. Excluded values are values that things cannot be. In other words, that is, they give us another thing. Find all values of t for which the expression is undefined. Now, you might remember something about fractions back in the day. You might remember something about the denominators. Remember, you could not have a number over 0 that was undefined. They may not have ever told you why. Let's try to divide 0 into 7. 0 divides 7. Well, we can do 7. We have a remainder of 7. Now you could put 10 up there. You still get 0 remainder 7. You can put 101 up there. Still have 0 remainder 7. We cannot define the answer to give us a division problem with 0 as the divisor. So when we look at something that's excluded or undefined in fractions or rational expressions, we look at the denominator. And we say, okay, we know that the denominator cannot be 0. All right. So what values of t make this denominator 0? Well, we can use our algebra and we can add 2 to both sides. You probably just figured 2 in your head just then. We zeroed that out, and that tells us that t cannot be 0 plus 2, 2. Because if t is 2, we have undefined denominator of 0. Cool, huh? Well, it gets a little more exciting than that. You knew that was coming, right? So, again, find all excluded values. For the expression, we want to find the values, that is, find the values of v for which it's undefined. Well, again, that tells us to take a look at the denominator because this is a rational expression. And that tells us to say, okay, we know this denominator, take a shortcut here, cannot be 0. But we see our denominator is not a nice, normal anything. This is a trinomial, right? Thankfully, the leading coefficient's 1, so that'll be kind of fun. We need to factor both of these down. Now we know it's going to be v and v, right? Our c term 24 is positive, so we're going to use the signs on b, which is negative. We want to find the factors of 24 that are going to add to 11. 6 times 4 doesn't work. 12 times 2 doesn't work. 8 times 3. Phew. That was starting to worry me. All right, 8 times 3 adds to 11. 8 plus 3 is 11. 8 times 3 is 24. Ah, you all got that right off, didn't you? All right. Well, we know by the... I gotta remember something else now. This goes for equality or not equality. If you have a factor, two factors equal to 0, then either the a is equal to 0 or the b is equal to 0, or it could be both. And or both can happen, but they don't have to happen, right? Okay. Same thing with a not equal to. So we got v minus 8 can't be 0, because if it is, the whole thing's 0. And v minus 3 cannot be 0, because if it is, the whole thing is 0. We just add that 8 to both sides. V can't be 8. Or add the 3 to both sides. V cannot be 3. All right. And they just want us to list them. I think they just would have to list 3, 8. I think that's what Alex is looking for. All right. Alrighty. So now, with the same idea, only this time we have equality, we want us to find the solution. Well, they've already factored them for us. So all we have to do is use the zero factor property, or whatever they call that in this book, and take each factor, the v, 4v plus 9, set that equal to 0, or, that's an r, 8 minus v equals 0. All right, so do your algebra, subtract your 9, divide by your 4. All right, so v is equal to negative 9/4, or v is equal to a negative 8, positive 8. Right, 8 minus 8 will give you 0. It has to be positive 8. All right. Now, when you get to these that are not already factored, guess what we have to do? Yep, you got it. We got to factor them. We have to factor first. Well, we got to factor first. There are some exceptions to that rule. I'll show them to you when we find them. This one's not one of them. All right, so always remember to look for the GCF first. There may not be one, but always go with that GCF first. In this one, there actually is. The 3 and the 12 have the 3 in common, and the y squared and the y have the y in common. Remember, factoring is just dividing out that GCF. 3y squared divided by 3y is y. 12y divided by 3y, the y's cancel, and you just get 4 equals 0. So that tells us the first factor, 3y equals 0, or the second factor, y plus 4 equals 0. Well, you divide by 3, you still get y equals 0. Or subtract the 4, y equals negative 4. Question 5, oh joy, it is a trinomial, right? But the leading coefficient's 1, so it's going to be fun. We know that's going to factor into, has to be u and u. All right, now we want c is positive, so we're going to use b's sign, both be negative. And we want the factors of 4, that in this case add to 5. Well, that'd be 4 and 1. That one wasn't too bad, 4 and 1. Right. So same idea, u minus 4 equals 0, or u minus 1 equals 0. Add your 4, so u is 4, or add your 1, u equals 1. We're just having fun, aren't we? Math is our friend. Here we want to solve x squared equals 20, where x is a real number, no imaginary numbers. Simplify as much as possible, and this is going to take us back a few sections where we did square roots. All right, and we simplified those square roots. So we have x squared equals 20. Well, we can undo an x squared by taking the square root of both sides. But we have to remember something. There's a rule that if x squared equals a, x will equal either the plus or the minus square root of a. So in this case, it's either going to be the plus or the minus. Now, we also know that if you start off with a square root of 9, we always use the principal positive square root, which is 3. But we started with a square root there. Here we start with a square, and we're undoing it. When we undo that square, we don't know if the x started out as positive or negative. So we have to look at both of them. So this tells us x equals, all right, we got 20, so that's 4 times 5, right? So it's plus or minus square root of 4 is 2. square roots of 5. We got to be able to do those and simplify those down. Remember, the exponent tells us usually how many answers we're going to get. All right, so we were expecting 2 answers. Sometimes they're imaginary, so you got to keep that in mind too, but we had 2 real answers on this one. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing, but this time instead of just a simple x, we've got a binomial squared. The great thing is it's the same idea. So what you're going to want to do is add that 27 to both sides. All right, so that you get the square, whatever is squared, by itself. So you take the square root of x plus 3 squared, and you take the square root of the 27, remembering the plus or minus, and you get x plus 3 on the left-hand side. 27, remember, is 9 times 3, so it's going to be plus or minus 3 square roots of 3. Subtract the 3. Now, remember, the 3 square roots of 3 is irrational. The 3 we're subtracting is rational. They can't go together, so x equals negative 3 plus or minus 3 square roots of 3. Sorry that one was so messy. I was trying not to get into the next one, but it didn't happen. All right. We want to fill in the blank to make the expression a perfect square. So basically, we want to make this a perfect square trinomial. And there's a reason for that, because in a minute we're going to complete the square. So how do we do that? We look at the b term, divide it by 2, and square it. So in this case, it's 16, negative 16, over 2 squared. Well, that's negative 8. Yeah, it is. Squared. So that's 64, right? And that is what we put right there. So that's the trick to it. So how do you actually complete the square? They give us 2 boxes to fill in. All right. So by completing the square, first of all, which form is it? Well, C is positive, so we're going to use B's sign. So we pretty much know it's going to be that one with the positive in there. Because what we're doing is we're creating that perfect square trinomial, which is going to factor into whatever this x plus something squared is. So the first thing we want to do with this is absolutely not get it mixed up with the other problem. We have x squared plus 10x. I don't have enough room. I gotta come down here. X squared plus 10x. Now you want to leave a little gap. Put a plus sign there if you want. Leave a little gap. Equals. Now you want to move that 19 to the other side. All right, minus 19. We're also going to put a plus little gap here. That gap is what we used up here in question 8, our b over 2 squared, to find out what this was. Notice all we had up here, b over 2 squared, was an expression. We were completing it and making it into a perfect square. Here we have an equation. So when we complete the perfect square on the left-hand side, whatever we do to that, we have to do the same thing on the right-hand side to keep the equation balanced. So we're looking at b over 2 squared. There's a reason for that. Somebody can ask me that in the discussion if you're interested. So in this case, it's 10 over 2 squared. That's 5 squared, which is indeed 25. So we add the 25 here and the 25 there. Adding it to both sides keeps it balanced. But you just created a perfect square trinomial, which can factor into x plus 5. Remember, it's the square root of the 25. Well, the leading coefficient there is 1 on the x squared, so we just got a 1 there that we don't ever write down. And 2 times 5 gives you 10. Remember the check we had for perfect square trinomials back a few videos ago? Negative 19 plus 25 is 6. It's 6, isn't it? Oh. All right, but we got a binomial squared. We know what to do with that. We're going to take the square root of both sides. So that's going to be x plus 5 equals plus or minus the square root of 6. You can skip a step when you take the square root. You know, if you take the square root of a perfect square, you're going to get the radicand out that's in there, x plus 5. 6 is prime. No, it's 2 times 3, but there's no perfect squares in there. So subtract the 5 from both sides, minus 5 plus or minus the square root of 6. Now, in what do they want? They want this here, so they want you to put the 5 there and the 6 there. That's what they want there. Then for the solution, Alex wants you to separate the two. It's going to be a minus 5 plus the square root of 6, comma, minus 5 minus the square root of 6. They don't have a button for plus and minus. Go figure. All right. Just keep that in mind. Quadratic formula. Yes, this is too cool. Do I have room for that somewhere down here? Oh, wow. Quadratic formula. Let's see if I can do this. So, page is that? Page 4. All right, quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Check YouTube. Put in quadratic formula song. Just about any genre of music, and you'll find the quadratic formula. Let's see. Change colors. All right, so the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you want to see where that comes from, it comes from completing the square on the generic quadratic equation. If you want to see where that comes from, where does the quadratic formula come from, put it in the discussion in D2L. Earn some points, and I'll put it in there and show you where it comes from. All right, so remember, we have to remember what things are. Ax squared minus plus bx plus c equals 0. So a is the 4, b is the negative 5, the sign goes with it, and c is the negative 2. All right, so negative b, that's going to be a negative 5. All right, plus or minus the square root of b squared, well, 5 squared is 25, minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is negative 2, all over 2 times a, which is 4. I'll do a little violent. Okay. All right, so that gives us 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 plus, feel free to use your calculator, 8 times 4 is 32. All over 8. You can check that. All right, 5 plus or minus 25 and 32 is 57. Yuck. Oh, all over 8. 57. 5 plus 7 is 12, so 3 will divide 57. So let me get a scratch paper over here. 3 divides 57. 119. Okay, so 57 doesn't have any perfect squares in it. No perfect squares. Yay. So that means we're done. No simplification needed. It's just arithmetic. Some people program their calculators. I did that when I first got my calculator. I was a computer science major. Well, that was after I was a computer science major. I still like to code. Question 11. Are we having fun yet? All right, the length of a rectangle. Again, we've got that rectangle. Okay, so the length is, right, equal sign, 5 yards less than. So it's 5 less than, take away, twice the width. twice the width. All right. Then we're told, let's comma, the area of the rectangle is, right, 33 square yards. 33 square yards. Find the dimensions of the rectangle. So the dimensions they want us to find, that's the length and the width. They want us to find the length and the width. Well, we know that area equals length times width. We're given the area is 33. We're given the length is 2w minus 5. And we know that width is w. So that tells us 33 equals 2w squared minus 10. No. 2w squared minus 5w. Good. When you see w squared, just think you got a quadratic happening. I see a 2 with a 5 and a 33. There's no GCF, so life gets a little more exciting. I don't like negatives leading, so I'm going to subtract the 33 from both sides. I'm going to get 0 equals 2w squared minus 5w minus 33. Should I leave this factorization to you guys? Does it factor even? Oh my. Sometimes you can factor by trial and error. We know it's got to be 2w and w. 33 is only 33 and 1, or 3 and 11, right? C is negative, so one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. We're trying to get negative 5 in the middle. So all we need to do in FOIL is check the outside and the inside. The outside is a negative 6w. The inside is a positive 11w. That's a positive 5w. We want a negative 5w. So we need to change these signs, which will change those signs, right? We need a negative 11 and a positive 6. To get a negative 11, I got to make the 11 negative. To get a positive 6, I've got to make the 3 positive. Math is our friend. Alrighty, so I'm going to erase this part because we figured that out. And I'm running out of room because I've got this question 12 I'm already into here. Alright, so same idea, 2w minus 11 equals 0, or w plus 3 equals 0. Hopefully you see a problem already. It says w equals negative 3. We're talking dimensions of a rectangle. We can't have negative dimensions. So the w has to be the 11 halves. And we know the length is twice the w minus 5. So the length is 6. Alrighty. Math is our friend. Are these problems getting longer or what? Trying to figure out where did number 12. All right, well, we'll change colors into black, so we'll know that black is number 12. Number 12 is going to be black. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and erase this line here. Okay. There we go. I think we can squeeze this right here. All right, so again, sentence by sentence. Number 12. Longer leg is 4 meters longer than the shorter leg. So, longer leg is 4 longer than the shorter. I'm going to put an S for shorter. Second sentence. Hypotenuse is 8 longer than shorter. Hypotenuse is 8 longer than the shorter. Find the side lengths of the triangle. Well, we're told it's a right triangle, right? We know something about right triangles, right? while back we did anyways, hopefully. Called Pythagorean theorem. So the hypotenuse is s plus 8. I don't know which one's the longer side. It doesn't matter. One side's the longer side, which is the shorter plus 4, and the other side is the shorter side. Since s's can be mistaken for 5s, I'm going to use x for the shorter side, okay? So I'm going to use x for the shorter side. So I'm going to use x. So here it is again. Hypotenuse is x plus 8. X plus 4 for the longer side, and the other side is just x. This is your right triangle. We know Pythagorean theorem. Right? It's going to be the x squared plus the x plus 4 squared equals the x plus 8 squared. Remember when I said being able to square binomials quickly is helpful? We're at that point. Alrighty. So I'm using x here. Alrighty, so this is going to be x squared plus, now you can multiply this out and make sure you've got it, right? Alright, it's going to be x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals x plus 8 squared. You can multiply it out. It's going to be x squared plus 16x plus 64. Okay. Math is our friend. I think I'm going to run into room on 13 here. Alright. Combine like terms, right? Move everything to the left side is what I would do. Because it's x squared, right? So we've got to just move everything to the left side. So you're subtracting an x squared, you're subtracting a 16x, and you're subtracting a 64. So on the right-hand side, you've got 0. And on the left-hand side, you've got an x, these go away. You've got x squared minus 8x minus something, 48. So what do we get to do again? Yep, factor. Everything in math is factoring. Go ahead and learn it. It just makes it a whole lot faster than trying to calculate the quadratic formula every time. Leading coefficients 1s, we know it's x and x. C is negative, so we're going to have a positive and a negative. Factors of 48 that subtract to 8, but we want 8 to be negative. 12 times 4. So a negative 12 and a 4. They subtract to 8. A negative 8. Set up our x plus 4 equals 0, but you should already see there's an issue there. X minus 12 equals 0. This tells me x has to be negative 4. But again, we're looking for lengths, so it can't be. That can't be an answer, so x has to be 12. So 12 for the shorter leg. X is 12. 12 for the shorter leg. Now that we know what the shorter leg is, we can plug it in both of theirs. The longer leg is 12 plus 4, which is 16. Hypotenuse is 12 plus 8, which is 20. And so there's our answers. Isn't that wonderful? Math is our friend. Alrighty. We're looking at question number 13 in homework 4 of Math 1111. I'm going to change the colors to blue. All the black belongs to question 12. All right. A ball is thrown from an initial height of 7 feet. That's the 7 in the formula. Has an initial upward velocity of 37 feet per second. That's 37 t in the formula. The ball's height in feet after t seconds is given by this formula, h equals 7 plus 37t minus 16t squared. You've seen where the 7 comes from. That's the initial height. You've seen where the 37 comes from. That's the initial velocity. It's upward, so it's positive. Downward is negative. Where does the 16 come from? Well, if you've had physics yet or any of the sciences, you know that there's approximately 32 feet per second is gravity. So that's where the 16 comes from. So if you're on the Earth and you're throwing balls or something off buildings or any place else, then it's always, if you're dealing with feet per second, it's going to be 16. If you're dealing with meters per second, right, it's going to be 4.5. Because 9.8 meters per second squared is gravity on Earth. All right. We want to find all the values for which the ball's height is 27 feet. Height is the h. So all we have to do, when we round your answers to the nearest hundredth, okay? If there's more than one answer, there's an or button in the answer box. All right. So all we have to do is substitute 27, substitute the correct answer, 27 in for the h, and do 7 plus 37t minus 16t squared. Now again, I do not like negative leading my t squared variables. So I'm going to move everything to the other side. I'm going to subtract 7, subtract 37t, and I'm going to add 16t squared. So I've got 16t squared minus 37t, and when I subtracted the 7 from the 27, I got a plus 20 equals 0. Now when I look at this, I think, oh my goodness gracious me. 16 is a perfect square, but 20 isn't. 20 has a 4, and so does 16, but 37 does not. So there's no GCF. We should be able to piddle around with this a little bit. You can use that find the factors of AC and all that stuff if you want to. But as my grandma used to say, this is book learning. 16 is probably 4 and 4. Could be 8 and 2, right? C is plus, so we're going to use B's sign of negative. 20 is 4 times 5. Okay, so we got the first and last. Let's check the outside and inside. That's going to be a negative 20t, and that's a negative 4t, and that does not equal 37. All right, so that's wrong. That's why they call it trial and error. Let's try 8 and 2. Well, let's just turn these around. Do that first. Let's don't give up on 5 and 4 yet, right? Well, it's going to be the same because that's 4, right? Yeah, it's still going to be the same. That's still going to be 20, and that's still going to be... Well, that'd be 16. Wait a minute. Let's try it. Oi. All right, outside. That's going to be a negative 16t. And inside is going to be... Did I do something wrong a minute ago? 20t. That still is 36, not 37. Bummer. All right, we try again. Well, if I do the AC method, I'm multiplying 16 times 20. That's a huge number. I'm looking for factors to get to 37. If you guys want to do it, go for it. All right, I'm going to try 8 and 2 here. Try 8 and 2. That's not going to work. You can see that instantly, right? That's going to be 32, and that's going to be 10. That's not 37. Did I do these numbers right? Subtract 37. Yes, I did these numbers right. All right. So turn the 2 and the 8 around. Put the 2 over here and the 8 over here. That's not going to work either, because that's going to be like 40. So that's negative 8, and that's negative 40. That's not going to give us 37. At this point, I'm wondering whether it factors. Let's use the quadratic formula. I don't want to play with factoring that anymore. Could be 10 and 2. That would be 40. That would be 20. That still wouldn't work. All right. Let's use the quadratic formula. So A is 16, B is negative 37, and C is 20. This is not going to be fun. All right, so T is going to be negative B, which is now a positive 37, plus or minus the square root of B squared. We're going to need a calculator for this. We're rounding to the nearest hundredth. Should have recognized when it says that, this is not going to come out pretty. Okay. Minus 4 times A times C. Y'all getting your calculators out? All over 2 times A. Oh, man. This is so much fun. Math is indeed our friend. All right, so this is going to give us, okay, so T. Math is our friend. All right, I don't want to come into this. I want to go someplace else. Let's go up this way. That's, oh dear, wrong button. Okay, that's not this problem. Let's go up here. So T is going to be, we're going to do the plus one, and then I'm going to do the minus one. If you turn your iPhone sideways, you get a scientific calculator. Yes, I have my iPhone right here. I'm using it for a calculator. Oh my golly. So it's 37 squared. I got to do what's underneath the radical first. 37 squared minus 4 times 16 times 20 equals, I'm going to take the square root of that. I'm going to add that to 37, hit the equal sign, and divide that by 32, right? Because 2 times 16 is 32. I'm rounding the nearest hundredth, so it's 1.45. All right. All right, so with the minus, okay, it's 37 squared. 37 squared minus 4 times 16 times 20 equals, square root that, change it to a negative answer, add it to 37, divide that by 32. Oh, I did 36. Oh no. Okay, I gotta start over. 37 squared minus 4 times 16 times 20 equals, take the square root of that, change it to a negative answer, add it to 37, equals, divide that by 32, equals, we get 0.86. So what that means is, when it's 27 feet off the ground, it's got two places. Going up, it's going to pass 27, and when it gets to its highest point and comes back down, it's going to pass 27 feet again. So it has two places where it passes 27 feet at time 0.86 seconds, and then again as it comes around down again at the 1.45 second mark. Most things that go up and come back down are going to pass the same, just the same height at the same twice, unless there's something else going on or you're at the very, very maximum. Okay. Yay! 3 more. We're going to make it. Okay. Here we go. Solve x to the 4th minus 17x squared minus equals a negative 16. And again, if there's more than one solution, we'll separate with commas. That's what you do in ALEKS. We'll just circle our answers here. Okay, so remember the quadratic. The basic quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. And that x is to the first power. If your middle x exponent is 1/2 of the first exponent, or the larger exponent, you have a quadratic. 2 is 1/2 of 4. So 1/2 of 4 is 2. So you have a quadratic form here. This is called quadratic form. quadratic form. All right. All right, so let me get this over. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that 16 to both sides because we want to get it in our quadratic form. X to the fourth, please factor. 17x squared plus 16 it does. Okay. Now there's two ways to do this. When it factors simply, it's not too bad. Even quadratic's not bad. Well, it can be. If you remember before, when we would factor, we would put the x here and the x here, right? To get x squared. But now we need to get x fourth. So really what you're putting there is the middle term variable, x squared. Remember, leading coefficient's 1, everything's fun. X squared times x squared gives you x to the fourth. X squared is the middle variable, the b terms variable. All right, c is positive, so we'll use the signs on b, which are both negative. We want the factors of 16 that add to 17, and that's 16 and 1. All right, but notice, well, there's two things you can look at. This is difference of squares. That's going to be x plus 1, x minus 1. And the other one's a difference of squares. That's going to be x plus 4, x minus 4 equals 0. So we have 4 factors that are going to equal 0. Put commas between them. How's that? Oops, I ran out of room. X minus 4 equals 0. What we can see this clearly is x is negative 1, or x is 1, or x is negative 4, or x is 4. And those are our answers. Isn't that exciting? There's another way to do that called U substitution. If you want to see that, put it in the discussion in D2L, and I'll show it to you. Alrighty. Almost there, almost there. It's 15 and 16 left in homework 4. Alright, question 15. Then we got 3 consecutive integers. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is remember what consecutives are. Consecutives. I can't spell. Alright, consecutive, they're integers. I'm going to say that's a given right now. Say 1, 2, 3, right? Those are consecutive. Well, if the first one is x, the next one would be x plus 1, and the next one would be x plus 2, because it takes 2 to get from 1 to 3. Okay? So consecutive integers just go x, x plus 1, x plus 2. While we're here, consecutive odd, and again, we're going to assume integers. Well, let's see, odd numbers, 3, 5, 7. Seems like they always use 3. If there's 4, there's another one. So that would be x, but notice to get from 3 to 5, you have to add 2. To get from 3 to 7, you have to add 4. So consecutive odd is x, x plus 2, x plus 4. The great thing is, consecutive even, it's the same idea. 2, 4, 6. Consecutive means they're in order. You're not skipping over any of them. Well, if the first one's x, you have to get 2 to get to 4. But 2 to 6, you got to add 4. Notice consecutive evens and consecutive odds are the same. X, x plus 2, x plus 4. All right, so just remember that. Okay, so we have 3 consecutive integers. So that's going to be x, x plus 1. That's going to be x. I'm getting tired. It's midnight, okay? All right, we have x plus 1, and x plus 2. Those are our 3 consecutive integers. We have a sum, so that means we're adding them up. and the sum is going to be 48. So it's 48. So we're just going to add them up. We got 3x's plus 1 plus 2 is 3 equals 48. Subtract your 3 from both sides. It's 45. So x divided by 3 is 15. So x is 15. X plus 1 then would be 16. X plus 2 would be 17. Those are our numbers. We can check them and see, do they sum to 48? Hopefully. All right. Yay, last one. I think last one for homework 4. A desk is on sale for 32% off. The sale price is $527. What is the regular price? All right. Okay. So the regular price, RP, RP, and we'll use sale price, SP. All right, the regular price minus 32% of the regular price will equal the sale price. Because you're taking 32% off, not 32% of. 32% off means you're taking it away. So we don't know, we'll call that X. That's 0.32. X equals the sale price of $527. Now the regular price should be more than the sale price. So if we do this and we get a number smaller than $527, we've done it wrong. Remember there's that understood 1 in front there. So 1 minus 0.32 is 0.68. X equals 527. We're going to divide both sides by 0.68. Oh no, no, no. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh no. Come on now. Oh dear. Well, you can rewind the video to see what all that was. I don't know why it did that. I really don't. Anyways, you can rewind the video to see what's going on. I don't know where all those lines even came from. Whoa. I don't know what all that is. It's like upside down. Okay, well, I don't know. You can rewind the video. I don't have a clue what happened. I'm just going to erase all this. All right, write down what I was saying a minute ago. I don't even know what color I was using. Okay. Okay, so regular price, sale price. Regular price minus the 32% off the regular price equals the sale price. All right. So we're going to call that X. All right. Sale price is $527. As I mentioned, sale price should be less than the regular price. When we subtract, we get 0.68. X equals 527. It's trying to divide both sides by 0.68. Which is going to require my calculator again. What do I do with that? There it is. Thinks I should be asleep, so it's not responding as quickly. 527 divided by 0.68 is $775, and that is what this regular price is for this desk. That concludes homework 4. Hence, thank you for joining and being a part of this and watching the videos. I will stop presenting now, and I will turn off my recording.